So let's take a mirror, okay, let's take a plain mirror. So you know that if a ray comes like this, it goes out like this, and this is a normal. Normal would be 90 degree. So is this is called I or this is called I? Which is called I? Which is to the normal. The angle to the normal is called I. Okay, so the angle of incidence is always calculated. Suppose if a question is question says it makes angle 36 degree to the mirror, then what is the angle of incidence? 90 minus 36 is the angle of incidence. So this is the angle of incidence, and this is the angle of reflection, and this is normal. So you have any number of rays that are coming inside. So many, for example, if you have 5 rays entering into this mirror, you will have 5 rays outside. Okay, this is generally called reflection. There is something called scattering, which we have been discussing, and another term that you would be hearing is diffuse reflection. So what do you mean by diffuse reflection? What is diffuse reflection? We know what is reflection is, because at a microscopic level, if you see mirror, the mirror will be very, very smooth. When you see also, it is smooth, but at a microscopic level, for now this is actually looking smooth, but at a microscopic level it is not smooth, correct? But the mirror, if you take mirror at the microscopic level also, it is very smooth. That is the reason you will have the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection is equal, and you have one ray entering in and one ray exiting. Okay. So what do you mean by diffuse reflection? Yes.
You said that the mirror will be smooth for normal reflection. For diffuse reflection, it won't be that smooth. It will be rough and it will be like an uneven surface. So the reflection, the image appeared will also not be that clear.
So this you are saying is rough. Like you said, rough for diffuse reflection. So what about scattering? Which object does scattering? All objects. So then, so what is the difference here? Why there is then two terms which says one is scattering and one is diffuse reflection? Why are they two terms? We can have only one term, right? If both are same, correct? So what do you generally see? Only mirror are polished. You don't have any other thing that are polished. Plates you have polished, metal balls will be polished, but will it be exactly same as mirror? No. So what happens is scattering all objects. For example, this does scattering, I do scattering, this table does scattering, this one does scattering, everything does scattering. So all rough surfaces, rough hard surfaces does scattering. Smooth and polished surfaces, but it won't be exactly like a mirror. They do scattering, they do reflection, but it won't be same as this one. It is called diffuse reflection. So, but what is the difference between this reflection and the diffuse reflection? For example, at a microscopic level, for you take a metal ball or something. At a microscopic level, the metal ball won't be smooth. For if you look like this, it will be smooth, but if you actually take it and zoom it so closely, the metal ball will be something like this. If you zoom into that, the surface of the metal ball will be like this. Okay. So when you are talking about light, light is not like one ray like I shown here. It is a beam of light. So a beam will have many more rays in it. So if I have 5 rays that are coming in, all will be reflected as one ray, okay, not as different rays, but as one ray. But if you take diffuse reflection, what happens is the beam of light, when it comes and you have this as a surface, one ray comes like this, but the second ray would be hitting somewhere here, and each ray will be having a different normal. Okay, but they are all from the same beam. Assume a beam of light which has 10 rays in it, and each of the ray is landing on some other place, and each will be having, for example, this will be having like this will be going like this. So this beam of light will not have a reflection similar to the angle of incidence. Each of this ray will be going in different directions, and each of the ray in that will be having different normal, so they are diffused. You won't see a proper image, instead you will see a blurred or smudged image. Have you noticed something like that? You won't have a clear picture of it because one is landing here, another one is landing here from the same beam. It's not from a different set of beam. The same beam of light will have many more rays, each one landing at different point. So each one will be having different normals, and each one will be going in reflecting in different ways. So you cannot actually see a proper clear image. That's why we call this as a diffused reflection. The concept behind diffused reflection and the scattering are exactly the same. Okay, one important thing that we have to understand is in scattering, suppose you take a very hard surface, what happens? The same kind of rays comes and hits, but now each of this point are now considered as a separate source. Now this will be giving out as 10 more lights. You receive something, okay, so for example a beam of light which has 10 rays in it, so 10 points, okay, but now each of the point gives out 10, not 1. Each of this point, the 10 points are now given out as 1000 points, 10 into 10 or 100, whatever. Okay, so what happens is, this is called scattering and this is diffused reflection. Okay, assume that this is a beam of light that is coming. Okay, when we are talking about reflection, you always assume it is one ray that is coming in and going out. It's always not one ray, it's a beam of light coming and the beam of light going out. Okay, so now this beam of light has many rays in it. Okay, so when they actually land on this surface, on the mirror, they actually go out exactly on the same reflection. The angle at which it goes in, the angle at which it go out is the same. But when you take a very rough surface, it is not smooth, so you can see that it is very hard. So each of this ray comes and lands at a different points. One ray comes and hits here, another ray comes and hits here, like this. Now this is going to, but these are all from the same beam. Okay, now this is having a different normal than this. What is the normal for this? This is the normal, right? For this one, this is the normal. For that one, this is the normal. So in the same thing, for the same beam, the reflection are different because of different normal points. Why different normal? Because they are landing on different points and it is not smooth. You are having different normal. Here the normal is the same. Here the normal is different. Okay, so you will be having the rays pointing out differently. So it is very smudged or it is not very clear. It is very diffuse. For example, on the board is smooth. Will you be able? Are you able to see the images very clearly? No. Right? So can you see the image of the light? But is it very clear? No. Suppose if I have a mirror, you know how clear it is. Now this one, because the reflected ray goes out in different directions, it is coming to our eyes in a very blurred manner, not in a proper way. But when you talk about scattering, what happens is, what is the difference between, see, when I have a mirror, you can actually see your face in the mirror, but why can't I see my face on the wall? So what is happening on the wall? Scattering happens. So what is the difference between reflection and scattering? Scattering, when I actually send out, so when I am seeing, let's assume I am having a mirror here. So I stand in front of this mirror, right? So from me the light is going. hitting, and then it comes back to me. Correct? For me to see that to my eyes. So from my hand it goes and comes to my eye. From my leg it goes, hits and comes to my eye. Then only I can actually see my whole picture. But the same thing if I have, now right now I am not having a mirror, but I am having the wall. I am standing in front of the wall. The same thing happens. Will the ray goes and hits the wall? Yes. But what is happening? It is scattering. So from me, when this ray goes and hits, now this point is started scattering in 5 different ways. Okay. So what happens is, let's assume like from my head it is actually going, from my nose it is going, from my cheek it is going. Now each of this point, now this acts and like it sends out some 10 to 15 rays out. This one also sends, this one also sends out. So now each of this is acting as a separate source and it's sending out. So thus the scattering happens. So you can't see a difference between eyes, nose and cheek, nothing. But in the mirror, if something from my head goes, everything is getting at one point and coming back and gets converged. From my nose it goes as one point and angle of reflection is same and it gets converged inside. Correct? But on the wall, since it's hard, each of my ray actually lands in different places and each starts acting as a source and they actually starts scattering. So if I send out 10 lights, it comes out as 100 lights. And everything is smart because this one this comes like this comes like this, that comes like that. So you will not be able to figure out whether this is eyes or nose or cheek. So you will only see the wall and not your face on the wall.